Looks like we're lined up. All right. How's everybody doing? Chat's working. Stream's working. Awesome. We can get to work here. Happy Monday. Final day of November. Incredible. Every year we get near October, and I tell my wife the same thing. It's like as soon as we get close to Halloween, before you know it's Thanksgiving, before you know it's Christmas, before you know it, it's the new year. And said it again this year, and here we are. December 1, right around the corner tomorrow. No one probably cares about that rant. I don't even think she cares about it. So I don't know why I led with that. But welcome to the stream. Couple notes before we get started. So number one, Thursday stream, which always takes place at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1. Straighten up, Fortenbaugh. You got up early. You got a clear mind. 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We do that every Monday, which we're doing right now, and every Thursday. Thursdays, we're going to button this up. That is way too much machismo for a Monday. That was a tactical error on my behalf. We're going to push that stream to Friday for two key reasons. Number one, there is no Thursday night football game this week. So we're not going to do a Thursday night stream to preview a game that's not happening. It was supposed to be Baltimore-Dallas. That got pushed to next Monday because of the Baltimore COVID situation. They're playing tomorrow night against Pittsburgh. We're talking about that in a moment. In addition, Daily Wager, which I do for ESPN2, that got bumped up. That's usually 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be taking place, I think, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. It's happening right in the window of the stream. So rather than try to move it around on a day where there's not an NFL game anyway, let's move it to Friday with one caveat. Rather than 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, it's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And it's going to be a college football preview. So we'll save the NFL stuff for next Sunday morning when we come on at 11:30 a.m., 8:30 Pacific. We do that every Sunday. We are going to go Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern will be the next chat. It's going to be a college football breakdown. Full college football, no NFL, unless something crazy happens and there's some line I tell you to get or that I really like or whatever. So that's the situation for the upcoming streams. The next one will be Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, full college football rundown. Now, for last night, 2-1 on the Sunday night game. Didn't go wild. Felt very good about yesterday afternoon. We haven't had many good days this year. So went 5-1 during the day, went 2-1 at night, 7-2 overall. Overall record, 98 wins, 122 losses, 1 tie. Piece by piece. I told you, we're going to get this thing to 500 by the Super Bowl. By the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl. I promise. I'm going to find a way to get it there. Piece by piece. Yesterday was a good start. We picked up 5 games. The winners yesterday, we were closing out that Giants tease with the Packers. That was a no-brainer. Should have just bet the Packers as well. Good God, Chicago. Stop appearing on primetime, please. I love the city of Chicago. I've never had anything against the Bears. But, come on. I know it's not your decision, but get him out of primetime. Can't have this crap anymore. You can go lose on primetime. You just can't be that dysfunctional on primetime. Please, be a Big 12 team. Score a ton of points and stop nobody. Do that. I'd rather have one of those games. I'd rather have 2 pathetic defenses just giving up big plays everywhere to where some of us are on Twitter, this isn't real football. Who cares? It's exciting. The Bears are so boring. If you did your power rankings of teams you don't want to see on primetime, the Bears wouldn't be the worst of the group. You definitely don't want to see Jacksonville. You definitely don't want to see the Jets. So those 2 right out of the gate would be out. You wouldn't want to see Cincinnati. Some people would say oh, you don't want to see the Chargers. They're terrible. No, you absolutely want to see the Chargers. Every Chargers game comes down to the last minute. The Chargers would be a great candidate for all primetime games. Seattle would be a great candidate for all primetime games. And they're coming up tonight. We're going to get into that for a second. No, I think everyone agrees he's terrible. We're talking about me? Oh, Trubisky? Oh, and the shirt. I'm jumping in. I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's the same shirt that I wore yesterday morning and yesterday night. As long as we're winning, it stays the same. I'm not changing the goofball shirts. The next ones are lined up right over there, but we're not changing them. So, just please, Bears, please, just go do your thing on your own. But I would say that your top 5 teams you don't want in primetime, probably Jacksonville, the Jets, the Bears. I thought I had another one. The Bengals, maybe the Lions. I don't want to watch the Lions. What about the Broncos, though? Forget about yesterday's game. The Broncos are boring as hell, too. Very rarely are they involved in anything anyone cares about. Joe, you're hot as a pistol. There, I said it. It's a jinx. I appreciate it. It was one day. It was one day, and it was 9 picks, but it was nice. All right, so let's get to this. We got 2 games we're going to look at here. First thing we're going to do, we started doing this every Monday. I just want to give you a heads up. We're going to take a look at the look-ahead lines for Week 13, which were lines that came out. This is Week 13 coming up. I'm going to give you the lines that came out last week for that. They're called the look-ahead lines, and I'm going to compare it to where they opened. Give you a couple keynotes on where this stuff's moving. Number 1, Baltimore, Dallas. Forget about that game. It opened Baltimore minus 7.5 for Thursday night. It's off the board. They need to figure out what's going to happen with COVID there. More on that in a second. There's so many guys out for tomorrow night. Chicago and Detroit opened with no line. Bears now -3. Nothing to say there because we didn't have a look ahead. Miami was a 10.5-point favorite hosting Cincinnati. That's now 11. So a little Miami money early. Or a little Miami adjustment, I should say. That's not even necessarily money. Indianapolis was a 3.5-point favorite at Houston. That's now 2.5. Houston looked pretty good at Detroit on Thanksgiving. They have 10 days to get ready. Colts just lost yesterday against the Titans. So that moves through the key number of 3. That's an interesting one. Minnesota laying 9 against Jacksonville. That's up to 9.5 to the Jaguars. Although it's like every other week they cover a major spread. 2 weeks ago they covered against, or it was like 3, whatever it was. They covered at Green Bay. Then they got blown out by Pittsburgh. Then they covered yesterday against Cleveland. Who knows? I mean, you're going to lay 9.5 with Minnesota? Ugh. You know what? That game right there, I can tell you right now, that's the last time I'm going to talk about that game. I don't think I'm going to look at that game the rest of the week. I want nothing to do with it. Pittsburgh was originally laying 11 against Washington. That's now 10. That's interesting because Pittsburgh's got to play tomorrow night, and then they got to get ready to play Sunday against Washington, who's had 10 days to get ready for that game. I'm not saying Washington's going to give them a huge fight, but that would not be the least bit surprising to kind of take Washington there. Pittsburgh's coming off the Baltimore game, disrupted week. I'm surprised that's as high as it is. I would lean to Washington. I would love it at 10.5. If that gets to 10.5, you'll see me playing Washington. The Raiders were an 8-point favorite at the Jets. Raiders get embarrassed at Atlanta, and now 8.5. Tells you everything you need to know about the Jets. The Raiders can look like absolute dog crap against a bad team in a humiliating performance, and then the line goes up because they're playing the Jets. I would lean Washington. Pittsburgh plays the level of competition. Yeah, I agree with that. We saw that when we had I blew it when I had Jacksonville against Pittsburgh. But when they played Dallas, we took advantage of that. I think the spot's going to be good for Washington there. What else do we have here as we work through this? Seattle was laying 7.5 against the Giants on the look-ahead line. They haven't played yet. They're tonight, short week. Giants beat Cincinnati, but it didn't look as good as it should have. That went up to 9. That's already up to Seattle -9. Tennessee was laying 3.5 against Cleveland. They had a great performance yesterday against the Colts. That's now up to 4. The Saints were laying 3.5 at Atlanta. That is now 3. I don't think anyone was all that impressed with Taysom Hill yesterday. Again, it's Atlanta, and you can't buy into what you saw yesterday against the Raiders. Ooh. That's a game where I feel like I'm going to bet it. I'm going to pick the wrong side no matter who it is. Should probably cross that one out or circle it. Arizona, this is probably the most interesting one. Arizona on the look-ahead line was laying 1 for the game against the Rams. The rematch where, what the hell happened when they got together the first time? Ramsey shut down DeAndre Hopkins. I want to say the Rams won that game. I got to look that up. That wasn't that long ago, was it? Because I feel like that was a pretty good football game. And I feel like that was one of the rare ones I picked right this season. Against Arizona. They have not played Arizona this season. My hot streak's over. Everyone in this thread should be betting against whatever the hell I'm about to talk about. You got to be kidding me. So they haven't even played this season. All right. So where that moved was Arizona was a 1-point favorite on the look ahead. The Rams are now a 2.5-point road favorite. Now think about that for a second. The Rams just got beat at home by the 49ers. They were a 5.5-point favorite in that game. They lost. They go from a 1-point dog. It moves 3.5 points to Rams minus 2.5. Probably because Arizona looked like straight shit at New England. Cliff Kingsbury is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Arizona is going to have to get together at some point. Ownership, which is the Bidwell family, so good luck. And they're going to have to ask themselves, how many years of Kyler Murray do they want to waste with Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach? The guy has no idea when to go for it. He has no idea when to kick the field goal. Mistake after mistake after mistake yesterday. Just every possible scenario. He's got no problem 4th and 1 at the end of the half going for the touchdown. They don't get it. And, they go to the half with no points on that try. Fine. You want to get aggressive? Okay. Then later in the game, it's 4th and 1, and they're going to settle for the field goal from like 47 yards with the guy who clearly, what was his name? Zane Gonzalez? In the Miami game, he came up short from 49. They send him out there to win it. He hooks it. It wasn't even close. And then they're all sitting there on the sidelines like, oh, man, I can't believe we missed the field goal to win this game. Kingsbury makes terrible decisions, absolutely terrible decisions. They've got to find a way to either move on from him or coach him up to where he can change that because he is killing them. Cliff Kingsbury is killing that team this year. Green Bay was laying 6.5 on the look-ahead line against Philly. That's now up to 7. You don't even need to see Philly tonight to realize that was going up. The Chargers were laying 1.5 at home against the Patriots. That's now a pick'em. You don't say. Anthony Lynn versus Bill Belichick. You don't say. Kansas City was laying 13 against Denver. That is now up to 14. And then the Monday night game, Buffalo was a 2.5-point favorite on the look-ahead line at San Francisco. Okay? That is now up to 3. And part of the reason for that is this game cannot be played at the Niners Stadium. The Niners Stadium, even though they're San Francisco 49ers, is in Santa Clara County as well. Santa Clara County recently declared none of these venues can be open. Very strict with COVID. So the Niners can't practice at their practice facility, and they also can't play games at home. It's a 3-week situation, which is going to affect, I think, the next 2 weeks because the Niners are at home the next 2 weeks, or from what I read, 2 of the next 3 Niner games were going to be affected. I don't know if yesterday counted because they were at the Rams. Point being, this isn't the only time this is going to happen. So they cannot play at Levi's Stadium. Now, that doesn't mean they have to go to another state. Some people want them to play in Kezar Stadium, which is where the Niners originally played. It's in the city of San Francisco. It's very old. That would be cool. The Oakland Coliseum, where the Raiders used to play, is available. That's not Santa Clara County. So keep an eye on that. That's going to be something that's one of those, I'm not going to say it's interesting, but next Monday night, it's going to be a whole thing if you're not paying attention to it, where the hell that game's going to be played. All right, let's go to work. So first game up, Philadelphia. Hold on. So I talked about everything I need to talk about. Yeah, the next stream is going to be Friday, full college football. No Thursday stream. Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And Twitter, I'll always update it. You can always ask me stuff on Twitter too. That's, I try to respond to everyone. The DMs are always open. All the haters, DMs are always open. Weather tonight at Lincoln Financial Field, 60 degrees, 20 to 25% chance of precipitation, winds around 9 miles an hour. So not a lot to worry about from a weather perspective. For Philadelphia, Lane Johnson, their right tackle's out. He's lost for the season. Jason Peters, offensive guard, he is questionable. For Seattle, offensive tackle Brandon Shell is out. And then on the questionable list, Kyle Fuller from the offensive line, Jordan Simmons from the offensive line, DJ Reed, the cornerback, all questionable as well. Chris Carson is expected to return tonight at running back. The Seahawks have been pretty banged up the last few weeks. This is kind of the best their injury report has looked in quite some time. Look ahead line for this game was Seattle -3. It just kept creeping up. It's just kept going up to the point where right now it is Seattle -6.5. They're laying 6.5 right now. Total was opened around 53. It's now 48.5, 49. So there's money coming in like crazy on Seattle as well as on the under. I'm surprised by this. I'm wondering when the pushback's going to happen because you would figure long trip for Seattle. Philly needs this game. They're at home, catching a ton of points. You would think at some point this would be the sharp position would be to take the Eagles. Maybe they're waiting for 7. I don't think it gets there. If it would get to 7, I think people are going to be smarter minds are going to be in on Philly, but good luck with that. I'm surprised it got this high as is. So that's what we're looking at from a line movement perspective. Thoughts on the game. So the number one story coming into this game centers around the report from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network yesterday, Sunday, in which the Eagles were planning to use quarterback Jalen Hurts more than usual. All right. I don't know if anyone outside that locker room or franchise is aware of what exactly that means right now. Hurts has taken first team reps, starters reps this week during practice. Do I think there's any way the Eagles can pull off the win? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're completely tangents come from. It's generally me just looking down at the chat, seeing a question and firing it off while just completely breaking my train of thought. Probably not the best broadcasting method, but effective, at least in my mind. I have no idea. I'm not watching myself at the same time, although kind of I am. So anyway, back to the issue at hand. How is Philadelphia going to use Jalen Hurts, right? They're not saying he's starting. The report wasn't he's starting tonight. It's that he's gotten starting reps this week in practice, which he doesn't normally get, or he's gotten more than he would normally get, and that he's going to be used tonight in a situation where whenever we normally see Hurts, he and Wentz are on the field at the same time. The way they've clarified this is that he's going to be taking snaps with Wentz off the field. So he's going to play some traditional quarterback, I guess is what that means. And they've also said some of the plays are going to be bunched together. I mean, he's not just going to come in, do one, and leave. They might have him in for a few plays in a row. He might get a series. No one really knows what the hell's going on. This is what happens when you're a bad football team. Stories like this. You don't hear these stories in places like Green Bay, who continues to win football games. You don't go to Pittsburgh and hear some sort of bullshit about some random guy is getting random snaps and is going to play random chunks of time. You don't hear that because good football teams don't need whatever the heck this is. They don't find themselves in a situation where they hand out $140 million to a quarterback, and before the extension even starts, he leads the league in interceptions and they want to get rid of him. Like if the Eagles had never given him that extension, they would be getting rid of him after this year. But here you are. So now they spend a second-round pick on Jalen Hurts at formerly Alabama and then Oklahoma. And it's like, well, what are you going to do with this guy? So what are we going to see tonight? My prediction is this. I don't think he's going to start the game. And if he starts the game, I don't think he's going to just be the quarterback the entire game. I think that Howie Roseman, the general manager, and Doug Peterson, the head coach, are starting to feel pressure. That's what I think this is. Not so much pressure to win the division, pressure to stop embarrassing themselves. And at the same time, at some point, they have to justify this pick. Why did you use this guy? Why did you draft this guy in the second round? Like, you need players right now. Your offensive line's banged up. Wide receiver unit's banged up. Defense isn't very good. That pick should have been used on a guy who could play, not on a quarterback who needs to be developed, who comes in for some gadget plays. So they're feeling the heat a little bit here. And a lot of people say, well, they just won the Super Bowl. They've been terrible since they won the Super Bowl. They've been a very poorly run organization. They've made a lot of bad decisions financially. They've made a lot of bad draft pick decisions. And now this is the bid they made. Now they got to sleep in it. So my guess tonight is that Wentz will start the game and probably screw up. Hurts will get plays. The Eagles will get somewhat blown out. And then Hurts will just get all the reps late in the game in garbage time because they'll want to give him the reps. And then you'll have some full-born like controversy. Well, who are they going to start? And that'll be one of your talking points this next week when it won't even matter because they're not going to be so far out of it because the division stinks. But that's kind of where it is. That's what I'm seeing. You're going to see some of Hurts, and then eventually the game's going to be distant. So that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm going with this game. So let's start with this. Carson Wentz under 237.5 passing yards. That's going to be pick number one. For all the reasons I talked about. Now, they're playing Seattle tonight. So naturally, some of you will think back to all the times I've said, any Seattle game, we should bet the over for passing yards on the opposing quarterback. Absolutely. Absolutely, I said that multiple times, and it's worked for us multiple times. I don't think so here. So I should bring these notes up because I was looking at this earlier when I was writing it down. Wentz has, so 237.5 is the mark. Wentz has gotten to 238 yards just twice in his last 8 games. So this isn't that high of a mark. He doesn't hit it all that often this season. 2 of his last 8. He's going to lose snaps and passes to Jalen Hurts. And then I told you my theory earlier. I think if we get to garbage time in this game and the Eagles are getting blown out, Hurts is going to get those snaps. There's no reason to have Wentz in there. Like if you're going to play Hurts a little bit this week and you're getting blown out, you might as well have him in there getting those snaps. So that's the theory. I don't think Wentz is going to throw enough. Now, you might say, should I use the completions or the attempts props as well? I just kind of stayed away from it. I went for the yards. I went for the yards. I figured that would be the best way to do it. It's not something he hits all that often. And by the way, we just talked about Lane Johnson's out. He's going to be under duress. All right. Seattle's going to bring heat. Seattle's had 10 days to get ready for this game. They're a little bit more rested. They looked around the NFC. They know exactly where they stand. They saw the Rams go down yesterday. You don't want to, they saw Arizona go down yesterday. Great opportunity to put a nice little cushion between them and the rest of the division. So they're going to bring some heat tonight. So Carson Wentz under 237.5 is play number 1. Play number 2 is going to be Tyler Lockett over 73.5 receiving yards. Seattle wide receiver. Philly's secondary is not very good. They spent a ton of money on Darius Slay for this offseason from Detroit, which is like shades of the Nnamdi Asomugha signing years ago when they thought that was a great move. Slay hasn't been all that good. He hasn't been terrible, but for what they gave him and for what he was supposed to be, he hasn't been that. So what's probably going to happen tonight, I don't know if he's going to shadow DK Metcalf, but Philly's got smaller, or I should say shorter, cornerbacks. They don't have very big physical corners. Metcalf is a big physical receiver. You can't put some 5'9" guy on him. He's going to get destroyed. Slay just so happens to be like the tallest guy in the group. He's a little bit more physical. He stands at 6 foot. That's probably what Philadelphia is going to have to do tonight. I'm not saying it's going to be every single snap like with Jalen Ramsey, but Slay's going to have to be that guy. Metcalf ate them up in the playoffs last year. He had a couple really big plays in the second half when these two met in the wild card round. So my thought process is that Slay is going to spend a lot of time with DK Metcalf, which is going to free up Tyler Lockett. The prop 73.5, a little bit higher than I would like, but that's going to be where I'm at. 73.5 over for Tyler Lockett. For all the reasons I've already laid out, I will lay the 6.5 with Seattle tonight. That's play number 3. It's going to be a public play. It's a lot of points to lay on the road, and I do see a 6 just emerge. So I think there might be some pushback coming. Most of you know I'm an Eagles fan. I'm just even removed from that. It's not even like the hatred for how the season is gone. They're not good. Like, we're at a point in the season where sometimes we don't need to overthink everything we look at. We can go ahead and just kind of use the eye test. And the eye test for Philadelphia, a lot of people will continue to say things like, this is one thing I continue to hear with the Eagles is, they're due. One of these days they're going to get somebody. I don't know, maybe. Let's go through. Like the last we saw them, they were at Cleveland. They were pathetic. Then before that, they were at the Giants. They were pathetic. Then they beat the Cowboys. Anyone see what they did on Thanksgiving? They're terrible. Week before that, they beat the Giants by 1 in a game where they played like absolute crap in the second half. That should have been a blowout. They got hammered by the Ravens. It says it's only a 2-point differential. They had some garbage scores late. They got hammered by the Steelers. They beat the Niners when everybody was hurt. They overtime with Cincinnati. Got hammered by the Rams and blew a 17-0 lead to Washington. Like, that's who they are. At this point, that's who Philadelphia is. They're a bad team. They don't have any notable performances. There's not one performance on here where you would say, yeah, they look really good. They have one win by a sizable amount. It was when they beat Dallas by 14. And Dallas is just terrible. Absolutely terrible. So that's it for Philly. That's it. The eye test. And, oh, by the way, here comes Seattle, where they've got 10 days to get ready, a well-run team, a great offense, a great coach, a great quarterback, and here's how they have performed on the East Coast as of late. So a lot of times we talk about, man, they're going east. It's going to be a struggle. Seattle's last 11 trips to the Eastern time zone, they are 10-1 straight up, 8-2-1 against the spread. Do you hear that? 10-1 straight up, 8-2-1 against the spread. They're fantastic coming east. They came east twice last year to play Philly, beat them and covered both times. They've come east this season, and they've been fine. I don't have it exactly in front of me, but Atlanta was a game. Miami was a game. Those were 2 games where they came east and won and covered. I'm not saying they've done all of it. They had one. It was the just recent one against Buffalo where they did. All right, that happens. 10-1 straight up, 8-2-1 against the spread in the Eastern time zone. This trip doesn't hurt them, and they've had 10 days to get ready for it. So there you go. I'm laying the 6.5 with Philadelphia. Seattle. Laying the 6.5 with Seattle. Final play takes us into tomorrow's game. So I only got one more here. A lot of props aren't up for this game. Steelers hosting Ravens. This game was supposed to be on Thanksgiving. It's been pushed back because of a COVID outbreak in the Baltimore locker room. So it's going to be, weather's going to be an issue in this one. It's not in the Philly game tonight. Weather looks like it's going to be an issue. It's going to be about 33 degrees. So it's going to be cold. Snow is in the forecast, light snow, 65% chance as of now, and winds around 15 mile an hour, which isn't terrible, but it's going to have an effect, especially for a noodle arm like Robert Griffin III. So that's where we're at right off the bat. Weather could be a concern in this game. The line opened Pittsburgh -2.5. After everything that's happened, it's now 10.5. Why? So I don't have the full list in front of me, but COVID has ravaged this Ravens team. I don't even think we're sure. I mean, it's like every day since the outbreak started, there have been new positives. So they continue to lose players. They will not have MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson. They won't have J.K. Dobbins or Mark Ingram, two of their key running backs. Gus Edwards is going to be the primary guy. Willie Snead, the wide receiver, is out. The offensive line was already ravaged with injuries. Ronnie Stanley was lost for the year a couple weeks ago. I think it's Skula and at least two other offensive linemen are going to be out for this game as well. So just on the offensive side, and tight end Mark Andrews, one of their favorite targets, he's out as well. So the receiving unit, in terms of guys who can catch the ball, depleted. Running back unit, depleted. Quarterback, you go from Jackson to Griffin, who holds onto the ball way too long, and the offensive line's been depleted as well. Plus, Pittsburgh's going to be pissed off that this entire schedule got screwed up because of the team they hate more than anybody. And with the Ravens struggling, Steelers are going to see this as an opportunity to just get all over them. Which reminds me of something. They just put the nail in the coffin. They're going to pound them. On the defensive side of the ball, Matthew Judon's out. Calais Campbell's out. Maybe weather plays a major factor here. Maybe it doesn't. I am going to set up a teaser here with Seattle and Pittsburgh. That's the play. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why I'm confusing myself with this. That's it. That's the only thing I'm doing for this game. We haven't seen a lot of props yet. I might put some out on Twitter tomorrow. Keep your eyes out if you're looking for more. If you have any questions, hit me up. But take Seattle, who's currently 6.5, tease them down, 6-point teaser to a half point. So you only need to win the game tonight. And then Pittsburgh from 10.5 to 4.5. I'd probably lay the 10.5 too. That's what I've been doing, going back and forth with these notes. I'm probably going to lay the points. I'm going to wait to see if it comes down to 10, but I might lay it as well. That's not an official pick, just the tease. I don't think Baltimore's going to compete much in this game. The team was already coming apart at the seams. Now you got COVID ravaging the locker room. You've screwed up the whole schedule. Pittsburgh's going to get him. I think Robert Griffin, any props you see with Griffin throwing an INT, it's probably going to be heavily juiced. I'd play it. If it's like -160, I'd play that. He's going to be under pressure all night. And another thing, when Griffin runs, he doesn't know to get out of bounds and slide. You might see that early. He makes some bad decisions. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets lit up in this game and doesn't finish it. Any questions? How many fantasy leagues am I in? Just 2. I don't play as much fantasy anymore, or at least season long. I like DFS. I'm not great at it, but I dabble with that. Who's the backup to Robert Griffin? Great question. We should figure that out because I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see him. I feel like I should know that. It is. It's not even listed. Oh, my God. This COVID list is ridiculous. I don't even know who the backup is. Can't be that good. Told you guys Packers receivers would have a big day, not to mention Rodgers over. Yup, they had an easy day. That was great analysis. So that's the recap. Tonight, Carson Wentz under 237.5 passing yards. Tyler Lockett over 73.5 receiving yards. Seattle -6.5. And to get some action on tomorrow night's game, 6-point teaser with Seattle and Pittsburgh. So Seattle -0.5 point, Pittsburgh -4.5. I'll probably end up laying the Pittsburgh 10.5 as well at some point, but I'm going to wait to see if I can get 10. Those are the 4 plays for the stream. Trace McSorley, I think no. Trace McSorley, Penn State, he also has COVID. He was one of the first ones to get it. So, yeah, I think he's out for this game. But great pull. Great pull. All right, that's it. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the game tonight and tomorrow. Remember, we're back Friday, not Thursday. There's no Thursday night game this week. It was supposed to be Baltimore and Dallas. It's been canceled. So we're going to do a college football stream on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We're time up an hour and moving it back a day. Up an hour, back a day. Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for coming. See you guys Friday. Enjoy the games tonight.